Aging often brings forth a significant question. Is it better to be alone or to be with someone? Allow me to share a truth that society tends to overlook. Being single in later years can unlock a profound sense of freedom and happiness. In this video, we will dismantle the misconceptions surrounding relationships in later life, revealing the unexpected advantages of being single that could become your greatest asset. Together, we will redefine the concepts of love and companionship, offering a fresh perspective on what they can mean for you. I assure you that by the end of this video, your outlook on life will be transformed. If this resonates with you, please give it a like and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe for more transformative insights. Let's uncover the truth together. Romantic love often serves as a refuge for those who struggle with the concept of freedom. Society has led us to believe that being in a relationship equates to success, and that a life without a partner is somehow lacking. But just take a moment to observe the world around you, and you'll begin to see the illusion. It's astonishing that many still fail to recognize that human beings are born free, live free, and ultimately die free. Freedom is paramount, everything else is merely incidental. The world is populated by individuals ensnared in relationships they neither desire nor cherish, masquerading as content because acknowledging that solitude might be preferable feels like a public defeat. Relationships often arise from inertia and routine, simply because that's the way it has always been. The most disheartening aspect is that society applauds this emotional calamity. The notion of love, as it is presented to us, is nothing more than a prison cloaked in illusions. It does not elevate you, it constrains you. Initially, it burns with intensity, but once the flames fade away, leaving only the haze of fatigue and sameness masquerading as dedication. And for what? To escape the sting of solitude, a steep cost just to dodge the reflection that reveals your true isolation in this world. It begins with allure, which has morphed into a farcical performance, a spectacle of egos clamoring for recognition, more ludicrous than witnessing two peacocks flaunting their feathers in a mating ritual. We've transitioned from yearning for genuine connection to engaging in a social contest where the victor is the one who deceives most convincingly, performs most convincingly, and possesses the most Instagram profile, and we call that romance. It's amusing how most relationships begin with well-dressed deceptions, pretending to be better than we truly are, selling illusions right from the start. Then we're taken aback when it all crumbles. What did you anticipate from a castle constructed on lies, of which you were also a part? And if you believe that love will resolve everything down the line, I have unfortunate news for you. Love doesn't mend anything, it complicates everything. Because romantic love, as you perceive it, is merely a socially accepted form of possession teaches us that love equates to need, suggesting happiness is unattainable without another. Yet, if your happiness hinges on someone else, you've already lost. If these narratives inspire you and drive you to act, please comment 9, if not, comment 0. Your thoughts are invaluable to us, and we appreciate your time. The real issue lies not in solitude but in cohabiting with someone who leaves you feeling more hollow than when alone. As you'll discover, this can lead to a loss of your true self, despite the promise of happiness. When you discover your counterpart, what a demeaning notion it is, as if you entered this world flawed, incomplete, requiring another to render you whole. I would prefer to remain without that counterpart, thank you very much. Society pressures individuals to seek a partner with the same fervor it employs to market life insurance, and if you lack a partner, they regard you as some sort of oddity, as if there's something amiss, a social failure. Yet, the true absurdity lies not in solitude, but in the pursuit of companionship born from fear. The opinions of others can cloud our understanding. Love transforms from a conscious choice into a manufactured necessity. We find ourselves loving not out of desire, but because it has been ingrained in us. Genuine love arises not from the dread of solitude, but from the liberation of self-acceptance. The shackles of hollow connections are often forged from the fear of isolation. It seems evident, yet here lies the paradox. many couples experience greater loneliness within their partnership than they do apart. In every conceivable way, as Jean-Paul Sartre noted, if you feel lonely when in solitude, one finds themselves in a dismal alliance, and therein lies the cycle of deceit. People unite not out of desire, but from an aversion to loneliness. The bond morphs into a contract of emotional reliance, where watchfulness supplants warmth. If constant awareness of your partner's whereabouts is necessary, what exists is not a relationship, but rather an emotional confinement. Infidelity lurks as a specter in every union, a haunting presence that is all too rational. Society is decaying, and loyalty has shifted from being commonplace to a rare occurrence. Spending our lives scrutinizing phones, casting side-eye glances, and living under the weight of constant paranoia about infidelity is utterly draining. What kind of relationship can flourish in an atmosphere of fear that the other might lose interest? If you're resorting to checking your partner's phone, the relationship has likely reached its end. You're just too afraid to voice that truth. And what's even more troubling is that even in the absence of cheating, you're ensnared in a web of suspicion, particularly if your partner is attractive and active on social media. The real issue isn't about betrayal, it's something deeper. Infidelity seems to be an unavoidable reality in our contemporary society, where temptation reigns supreme. Technology has transformed cheating into an instant option, yet we continue to uphold the facade of monogamy, reminiscent of a bygone era. If a significant number of couples engage in infidelity or experience betrayal, why do we cling to the illusion of everlasting fidelity? Love rooted in control is a deception, and enforced fidelity can feel like a form of torment that no one should endure. What should be one of life's greatest pleasures instead turns into a battleground, where desire is extinguished by the fear of betrayal. Breaking free from the confines of societal norms raises the question of what kind of existence we truly seek. Nature illustrates that animals do not bind themselves to a singular partner for eternity, even those that do relish the companionship of their own kind. They embrace intimacy and joy without the dread of losing their autonomy. It is only humans who transform intimacy into a monotonous duty with the same individual, regardless of desire. We label this as commitment. Intimacy should be liberated, savored like nourishment, as one of life's fundamental delights. Without guilt, without the constraints of outdated societal expectations, who determines when you can indulge in pleasure as long as it's consensual? Yet, the notion of sexual freedom often sends shivers down the spines of those bound by emotional chains. If you seek enjoyment without attachments, you might be branded a player, or worse, if you're a woman. The true immorality lies in feigning innocence while harboring fantasies of betrayal against your partner. What holds you back from embracing your desires? The rules that are not even respected by those who claim to defend them. Hypocrites advocate for loyalty while secretly yearning for the first person who comes along. Personally, I don't endorse reckless behavior, as it can spiral into obsession and mental turmoil. However, what's wrong with engaging in intimacy when it feels right? We cling to constraints because society has conditioned us to view sex outside of a relationship as sinful. This enforced loyalty is the most ridiculous prison ever constructed, revealing the profound hypocrisy that exists, as I mentioned earlier. Critiquing the sexual freedom of others while harboring a desire to defy the very rules they enforce is a common contradiction. Those who advocate for monogamy with the greatest fervor often find themselves stifling their own instincts. The constraints they impose become a heavy burden, yet they remain unwilling to escape. The reality is straightforward: enforced monogamy breeds tension rather than love. Human desire is as intrinsic as the need for air, and suppressing it will not make it vanish. What you choose to repress ultimately has the power to consume you. If you doubt this, recall the discussion I had on the topic. If you choose to share your life, engaging with another should stem from a mutual goal, not from a need to feel whole or a readiness to compromise your own life for them. Love may diminish, yet common interests can uphold a relationship when passion wanes. The issue lies not in having a partner, but in the misconception that it is essential. Marrying simply because it is expected sets the stage for a life likely filled with discontent. It's astonishing that some individuals still hold the belief that adhering to societal standards ensures emotional fulfillment. These are probably the same individuals. Those who believe that governments are inherently benevolent and genuinely safeguard individual rights may be overlooking a deeper truth. True freedom emerges when one ceases to engage in relationships out of a sense of duty. If this notion unsettles you, perhaps it's a sign that you recognize the validity of this perspective. While fidelity is often heralded as the highest expression of love, what remains unspoken is that it is often rooted in fear of losing one's partner, fear of their potential disinterest, and fear of them seeking fulfillment elsewhere. Contemporary love, it seems, has devolved into little more than this complex web of anxieties. More like a performance of vulnerabilities masquerading as devotion. How can we label it love when it demands perpetual monitoring? I've pointed this out previously, but it's worth reiterating because it's so commonplace that many ignore it. We navigate relationships with a constant watchful gaze on our partners, scrutinizing their phones, deciphering silences, distorting dialogues to gain leverage, and resorting to numerous cunning tactics to find reassurance. When suspicion infiltrates a relationship, fervor fades, leaving merely the monotony of remaining united out of inertia, or the consequence of a past decision shouldn't dictate the nature of love. It ought to be rooted in mutual respect, where both individuals recognize that freedom is essential to life, not a danger to their bond. When one embraces freedom as the highest form of joy, relationships evolve, not due to disorder, but because desire is liberated from stigma. Yet, this perspective often clashes with societal norms. Many are so fearful of losing their partner that they resort to stifling control instead. Fidelity promises security, yet it often breeds resentment. The relentless pursuit of love from a partner becomes a currency that diminishes in worth as time passes. When desire resurfaces, many choose to conceal it, transforming what could have been a candid and liberating relationship into a lingering deception. True love requires no confinement. If you must imprison someone to prevent their departure, you've already lost them. The bird will always return to the open cage, not the one that is shut. If these narratives resonate with you and inspire you to act, embrace that motivation. Action is requested. Please share your thoughts now, or simply comment with a 0. Your opinion holds great significance for us, and we appreciate your valuable time. Being single stands as the ultimate testament to one's independence, showcasing that existence requires no external validation. Our society often elevates relationships, viewing singlehood as a challenge to the established order that governs our lives. An individual walking alone embodies self-sufficiency, free from the fear of loss, and most crucially, resists the urge to fit into a predetermined mold. This independence is the true threat, the liberation that comes from not relying on anyone. We have been conditioned to perceive this differently. Being alone is often viewed as a mistake, as if life without a partner is an unfinished project. However, being single is not an accident, it is a choice that requires courage. Ironically, those who criticize this choice are often the same individuals trapped in miserable relationships they cannot escape. Couplehood should not be the norm, it should be the exception. The true natural state of humanity is freedom. Animals remind us of this constantly. Wolves hunt in packs but sleep alone, and lions live independently. Communities exist, yet individuals often navigate life without the weight of emotional contracts. Only humans have transformed love into a perpetual agreement that infringes upon the fundamental right to exist freely. Emma Goldman articulated this notion clearly. The most perilous form of slavery is that which binds the slave through affection for their chains. Thus, we find ourselves cherishing our relationships, seeking comfort in their familiarity, even as we recognize that this sense of security can morph into the most inviting prison imaginable. Relationships can ensnare us, cloaked in the guise of stability, yet ultimately they may become a source of emotional entrapment. Instability is a curious thing. It's absurd how being single is often seen as a dilemma that must be resolved urgently, particularly for women who face societal pressure to secure a partner before time runs out. When someone remains single for an extended period, the world tends to gaze upon them with pity, as if they are victims of an unkind fate, devoid of love. Yet, what many fail to recognize is that the single individual isn't in distress. Rather, they are observing the chaos around them, witnessing others struggle in relationships that have long since lost their spark. Expired, and sometimes, I include myself in this, I enjoy observing how people criticize my lifestyle. Those same couples are stuck in a cycle of resentment and obligations. The societal pressure to have a partner doesn't stem from love, it arises from the fear of what being single represents. If someone can thrive without a relationship, what excuse is left for everyone else? The single person stands as living proof that love isn't mandatory, and that's deemed unacceptable in a society obsessed with romantic ideals. However, being single isn't the absence of love transforms into a profound respect for oneself. Embracing solitude is a deliberate choice to uphold your freedom, to refrain from splitting your time or self for a transient mirage. It's a rejection of the chaotic dance of allure and ownership, a relentless pursuit where pretense reigns, and everyone feigns indifference while vying for one another's focus. This creates a sense of almost paranoid disarray. Being unattached strips away that mask we often wear. There's no need for pretense, no obligation to validate oneself to others. The single one does not seduce, they simply live. They do not compete, they exist. Oscar Wilde expressed it beautifully, to love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. If a relationship does not foster growth, then it is not love, it is merely an anchor. Relationships should serve as a complement, not a necessity. Being single opens the door to connections free from contracts and emotional debts, where pleasure is shared without the burden of possession. Casual relationships, when characterized by honesty and mutual respect, become an extension of freedom rather than a threat to it. The true essence of relationships lies in spontaneity. Embracing singleness in its purest form is an act of raw honesty with the world. It's a deliberate choice to avoid the deception of false promises of everlasting love. It's about recognizing that you can love without the need to possess, enjoy without the burden of promises, and share without losing your identity in the process. Being single is not merely a phase, it's a destination where the final stop is named freedom, a place few attain because many become entangled in relationships that should never have begun. Ultimately, being single is not merely a state or a deficiency, it is a remarkable opportunity. It allows you to live life according to your own standards, to delve into self-discovery, and to uncover what genuinely brings you joy, free from the weight of imposed commitments or unrealistic expectations. You possess the liberty to pursue your passions, dreams, and desires, crafting a life that authentically represents who you are. Life transcends conformity to societal norms or fulfilling external expectations. It is about selecting your own journey and wholeheartedly embracing the adventure, no matter where it leads. Embrace the journey that may lead you to solitude for a time. Let it be a journey rich with freedom, self-discovery, personal growth, and, most importantly, self-love. The most vital relationship you will ever cultivate is the one with yourself, and being single provides the opportunity to nurture that bond. In a society that often emphasizes partnership, it's easy to overlook the truth that happiness stems from inner peace, not from being in a relationship. Whether you find yourself single or in a partnership, the essence of a fulfilling life lies within this understanding. Life revolves around remaining faithful to what brings you joy, contentment, and a sense of peace. It's about following what feels right for you, rather than adhering to the expectations or desires of others. I encourage you to pause and reflect on your life and choices. Are you living in alignment with your own values, or are you merely striving to satisfy the expectations of those around you? It's perfectly acceptable to forge your own path, even if it means walking alone for a while. Embrace your independence, trust your journey, and grant yourself the freedom to grow and evolve. If any part of today's message resonates with you, it resonated with you, and I encourage you to reflect on it further. Remember, the key to a fulfilling life is not found in having a partner or being single. It's found in being true to yourself, in creating a life that aligns with your inner desires, and in finding peace with who you are, regardless of your relationship status. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like it, share it with someone who could benefit from hearing this message, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful reflections like this one. We're grateful for your support. Thank you for being with us today. We eagerly anticipate your presence in our next video. Continue to embrace your authenticity and remain committed to the path that brings you the greatest satisfaction.